We're going to talk about a guy that I really like. I read his books. His name was Sam Zell. Sam Zell was a billionaire. He owned the Chicago Cubs. I used to live in Trump Tower in downtown Chicago 10, 11, 12 years ago, and I would stare at a building he owned. He owned a lot of the buildings, the skyscrapers and stuff that you see in downtown Chicago. He's a Chicago guy. I never met him, but I liked his books. I don't know why I read his book the first time. Somehow I found him, but I read his first book and I couldn't put it down. I just remember starting to read it and I was like, this guy's speaking so much truth, I can't put it down. And the thing that Sam always talked about that really made me pay attention and helped me understand was he talked about supply and demand, and he talked about scarcity. And that is so true. If you want to make a lot of money, supply and demand has always got to be at the top of your mind. Sam said this, where there is scarcity, price is no object. He went on to say, the basic tenet of supply and demand would later become a governing principle of my investment philosophy. And if you read his book, you understand what he looked for. He looked for scarcity. He looked for supply and demand. When everybody was a buyer, he was a seller. When everybody was a seller, he was a buyer. But he looked for scarcity. I don't know about you guys, but I like to sell things for more than what they're worth. I like to buy something for less than it's worth. That's supply and demand and scarcity. What is scarcity? What's another way to phrase scarcity? It has to do with the most powerful human emotion there is. The most powerful human emotion there is fear of loss, the fear of missing out, the fear of missing something. That's why scarcity is so powerful. And that's why Sam Zell, at a very young age, figured it out. When Sam was a young kid, so he was an immigrant, he came to this country with nothing. His parents escaped. I think it was the Nazis. His family escaped and they came over here with nothing. They lived out in the suburbs and they wanted Sam to go to this specific school. So they worked like 2 jobs apiece and got him tuition to get into this school when he's really young, 7, 8 years old. So they would put him on a train and have him take the train by himself at 7, 8 years old and take the train into the city and go to this school. One day he was downtown after school and he was walking. And he looked at a magazine stand. And this magazine stand had Playboy magazines. And Sam's 8 years old. But Sam pays $1 to buy this Playboy magazine. He gets this Playboy magazine. He gets on the train. He hides it in his book bag. He goes back home. He's with his friends one day and he shows them this Playboy magazine. One of his friends said, "Can I buy it from you?" Sam decides to sell it. He sells the Playboy magazine. I think it was $5. So he bought it for $1 and sold it for $5. And at that point in time, he realized where there is scarcity, price is no object. He learned it at 8 years old. He realized you couldn't get Playboy magazines in his neighborhood. Didn't exist, but you could buy Playboy magazines downtown. So he started a business. He started going downtown. He'd sell a magazine, get $5. He'd go buy 5. And then he was constantly trading. He ended up doing that his whole career, not with Playboy magazines. Eventually, that deal ran out, but he looked for scarcity in everything that he did. He wanted to sell things for a really high price. Have any of you guys ever heard of the tulip mania? The tulip mania happened in the 1600s, and the demand for tulip bulbs became so great that one single tulip bulb was worth the price of a house. And people were paying the price because there wasn't very many. There was a scarcity of tulips. And so many people were afraid of not having tulips. Do you need tulips to survive? Can you eat a tulip? Can't eat it. Can you make clothes out of a tulip? Nope. It doesn't keep you warm. Can you live in a tulip bulb? Nope. Too small. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's a flower. It's fun to look at. That's it. Because there was none of them around, they were trading for the value of a house. 500 years later, you can get one for $5. Back then, 500 years ago, when $1 was actually a significant amount of money, one tulip bulb was worth one house. Sam realized where there's scarcity, price is no object. I want you guys to understand that, because if you can understand that, you'll make a lot of money in your lifetime. What do your buyers want that they can't get? You guys have to start asking different questions. When you get up in the morning, What do your buyers want that they can't get? I listed a house for sale, a fix and flip for sale yesterday, guys. They weren't even done staging it, and I already got a full price offer. And my agent called me this morning and says, Matt, what do we do? We got 10 other showings already set up. Do we just take the full price offer or let it go? That's what is happening right now. That's what's happening because there's scarcity. There's no inventory. You've got to get up in the morning and stop running around wondering what to do and start asking questions. Get granular. What do my buyers want? Do you guys ever ask? You guys ever ask what your buyers want? Do you have those conversations? Hey, man, what do you want? I just want a really good deal. All right, man, I'll go get it. If that's your conversation, you're missing it. That's a bad question. What do you want to buy is a bad question. I want a really good deal. That's what they always say. You just left that conversation dumber than you started it. You actually know less. How about what is your favorite neighborhood? What is your favorite neighborhood? A bad question is one you don't get a good answer to. A good question is specific. What is your favorite neighborhood? Man, I like the area between Locust Street and Kimberly Road. Okay, cool. What in that location, in what area, what's your favorite? Like, how many bedrooms do you get most excited about? Well, I like 3-bedroom homes. I like 4-bedroom home. You guys have to get to the point where you're asking a specific question. You have to know what your buyers want. You have to understand exactly what they want.